Hello, hello, good afternoon, or good evening.
Hello, can you hear
Hello,
me now? Hello,
can you hear
you
me?
can. Yes.
Can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, good.
I'm so sorry. So, Mike, I'm
Hello.
just looking for my microphone, everybody, and I will be with you. Um, keep your wigs on. Dun, 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 dun. So, under the mirror, I want to tell you, love, I love you. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me
No.
now?
Okay.
You can hear me.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, today we will be um, we will be sound tech. So if I've got my sound up down here.
Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
What's that?
Click on it then.
Where?
The arrow.
Right, we don't go now.
Am I still quiet,
Is it on
Steve? Can you
mute?
not hear me?
Speaker.
What?
No. Over. This one.
Hello.
Ah.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
We
I
got
had
there in the
I
end.
had I had my mute off or on or whatever. Anyway, good
Got it
evening
on.
everybody. Sorry about my hair. I've got a fan here. Anyway, when I was speaking to Mark today, I was asking him what did he want to talk about, and he said, "Do you not talk about the Queen?" And I was thinking, well, at the end of the day, I don't want to talk about the Queen. So it's too much of it. It's been too much of it, isn't it? So
Far
what I
too
was thinking
much.
about doing. So what I was thinking about doing is this: that I'm going to ask people if they can, try to have a fun half an hour or so. By do you know any jokes?
Off the top of my head, I only know one, and it is this.
Right.
Why do cows wear bells around their necks? Because
To
their
tell that.
horns don't work.
Wait. We'll leave that. Um, space. I tell you what. I want to talk about space.
All right,
In the
okay.
paper, in the paper and on the internet, it said an asteroid, right, missed us so many inches away from. It kind of like actually hit us so much away from Earth. What do you think about that?
Well, I think one day it's going to happen. I've absolutely no doubt about that. So unless, unless it's Putin or some other maniac with a finger on a button, I've always thought that that's going to be the way that this planet perishes. Basically, something from outer space is going to hit us, and there's things shooting through the atmosphere all the time. The bits of rock, bits of meteor, bits of asteroid. We have craters on the planet which are the result of objects landing on Earth from outer space. So it's frightening, but I don't think it's something that you can really spend too much time worrying about, because it's, like I say, I think it's an inevitable thing, really, and it could happen within our lifetime, or it could happen in 7,000 years. I'm quite sure that you go on.
Nostradamus, he's predicted nearly everything so far that's come true, and he's saying about the it's going to be a third world war.
Yeah.
Right. Also, he's going to say that there's going to be kind of like an astronaut is going to actually hit us in the year 2024.
In the year what, sorry?
2024.
That's what he said. Well,
yeah.
I'm quite sure that there are people with telescopes trained on the night sky as we speak, and 2024 is just around the corner, and bearing in mind it would take absolutely, probably, I don't know, I think if something was going to hit us in 2024, I think it would have been established by now.
Well, something did hit us, though, didn't it? Something did hit us. It hit us yesterday. Listen to this. There was a big accident in Port Call yesterday. 20 Elvis impersonators had their wigs blown off. In the evening, they found the wigs landed on 20 women at a fast food restaurant. They put it
God.
fast. Yes.
You see that now to me, that is a disaster that deserves worry and concern. That is something that should be keeping all of us up at night worrying, because I want to go through my life minding my own business, and I don't want something black to land on me, or to land on something precious to me, or someone precious to me. So I think that's something we should be worried about. And that sounds quite a horrible event, that, really. I think that's going to go down in, it's almost like a JFK moment, isn't it? It's like, where were you when the wig landed? It's a bit like the moon landing. It's going to be called the wig landing. We're off, aren't we? We're off.
Oh my goodness! But no, it actually happened yesterday. Fourth call, Yeah.
What an event that is as well. I take it you didn't go.
Well, no. But what I about it was there was a lot happening. Like, an Elvis was found digging out of the sea. He went for a swim. His wig fell off. He lost it. Eventually, he found it by an oil rig.
The current had pulled it towards.
There's another one. There was another Elvis here. Elvis found in the river as he was searching for gold with his Elvis Elvis wig. He's desperate for money because he wants to go to Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so there you
starting to
go.
wonder if they're using the wrong sort of glue, Steve, to hold these wigs on. Because, well, it is the wrong sort of glue because it's not keeping the wig on, is it? It's flying off. But I'm wondering if there's fumes coming from this glue because they're acting very weird, aren't they? They're doing very, very strange things. You know, if they're going in rivers and going for a swim when they should really be
Yes.
in some bar singing to people. Because I thought that was the whole point of that festival.
I know. Yesterday as well, they found this wig actually running around in a bar, and there were about 20 Elvis personalities trying to get this wig, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't find it. So in the end, it landed in somebody's back boot.
Right, okay. I would imagine that they are in high demand, these wigs, yeah. Oh, dear me.
Yeah. You can actually get these factory ones now, remote control wigs.
Right, okay. And they're just
Yeah,
they move around.
yeah.
I didn't catch that, Steve. You're breaking up.
No, I said Asda are selling them. They're selling them.
Asda are selling them.
Yeah,
Wow.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
With a remote control.
Well, if I can get myself down to the nearest Asda tomorrow, I might be able to get one, unless they've all gone already. It sounds to me like they've had a bit of a bargain thing going on there. I can imagine demand's quite high. And yeah.
Hello, Wayne. How are you? It's Wayne. Hang on.
Oh.
Wayne, you come on and sing us an Elvis song, are you? Come on and sing us an Elvis song.
Is he an Elvis tribute, Wayne?
No.
Oh, right.
But he does a lot of singing. He goes around singing and stuff. But yeah. If you went to Port Call, they well, yeah. Anyway, I tell you what, I'd love to go to Port Call, wouldn't you?
No, it sounds like my idea of hell, really. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know, Steve. I think the problem is, and this is going to sound quite cruel, but there's no other way of saying it. I think really, and I'm being serious now, I think there's more mediocre tributes to Elvis than worthwhile ones.
Yeah.
From what I can see.
Oh, no.
There's some really, really good, talented Elvis tributes out there, but there's lots and lots of terrible ones.
Crap
and
ones.
I think,
yeah.
I would just be, it'd depress me really. I think.
Yeah, I know.
I'd rather go to, if I was going to go and see an Elvis tribute, I'd rather go to an actual gig, where, one of the worthwhile ones was singing. I can't see any point in just being caught up in the moment, cheering on somebody who is amateurish at the very best. I just can't see the point in it. I respect Elvis too much to do that. I respect myself too much to do that. And that sounds quite condescending, I know, but really that's how I feel. It's just, I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
What some of these guys are doing to the legacy of Elvis.
I know it's bad, isn't it? They went into the museum and actually nicked his blue suedes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
They nicked his blue suede shoes.
They were told to return to sender. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But tell me, when you do the Yucca-Bug on stage, I love the Yucca-Bug. Do the Yucca-Bug, you shake it over there, and then you shake it. Well, whatever you do,
Whatever,
you
whatever.
know.
Yeah.
Long time ago, believe it or not, it was really, really, really well-known, good song, wasn't it? The Yuckabug.
Yeah, it was. It was in the charts twice. Chubby Checker did it first. Way back when. I don't know when exactly, in the 60s, I would imagine. And then in the 80s, when you and I were young pups, a band called Coast to Coast had a hit with it in 1981. And that seems to be the version that a lot of people remember. And yeah, it were it's a great song. It really is. It's very, very tiring to do.
What
If
do
I
you
could just
think?
stand there
What do
and
you
sing
think
it
about rock and roll? Yeah.
about
What do
rock
you
and
think
roll.
about as a singer yourself? Do you think over the years rock and roll is still going, or do you think that bands or people who have brought rock and roll back in, do you think they kind of really mess? Do you think they should leave it alone?
Well, I don't think they're doing anything. I don't think anything radical is happening to rock and roll music, and I think it will always be popular because I mean, what we're now 2020, so it's we're coming up to 70 years since we as the public were first made aware of it with with Elvis Presley and Bill Haley and Gene Vincent and all the early forerunners. So yeah, it's nearly 70 years ago, and how many generations have cropped up in that time, younger people, um, including myself, who weren't even there at the time when it first, was hitting the charts, and and I think it's one of those styles of music that will just be always appreciated by new generations. And I think, and that isn't just exclusive to rock and roll, because you get a lot of people that are very interested in stuff like Northern Soul, for example, the old soul records of the 1960s. You've got like young people that are discovering that because, and again, without sounding condescending like I was about Elvis Tributes a few minutes ago, I think it's an absolute fact that everything has been done to death now musically, and there's nothing beats an original. And that original sort of music, whether it's rock and roll, whether it's soul music, or even ska and reggae, if that's what you're into, there's something still exciting and fresh about those original records from all those decades ago. And I think you'll always have people that are excited by what they hear, because a great song is a great song forever, and a great sound is a great sound forever. And it's outlived, rock and roll has outlived being a fashionable thing. It was never a phase, although they didn't know it at the time, as Cliff Richard sang in Move It. Everyone was wondering how long it would last. Even Elvis himself wondered how long it would last for. I mean, things have been done to rock and roll. In the 80s, you had you had young bands that were coming along and taking elements of it, but they were like punking it up into something that was called psychobilly, which was like a more aggressive form of rock and roll. I'm thinking of bands like the Stray Cats off the top of my head, and the Cramps, and bands like that. But by and large, it's always been, this really rootsy, rustic, generic form of music with a great beat, great feel, great guitar licks, and very unusual singing. Yeah, I think there'll always be. I think there'll always
Do
be
you
rock
think?
and roll.
Do you think that when Shaking Stevens came on the scene, do you think he wanted to be like Elvis?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because Shakin' Stevens had been making records for quite a long time before he became a famous pop star. I think he was doing things with a band called the Sunsets back in the mid 70s. And And there was a little bit of a rock and roll revival even then in the 70s, if you think about it. You had Shawaddy Waddy, you had Darts, you had Mud, and all these bands that were sort of like reviving the old hits. I remember, hearing "Oh Boy" in the charts, and it wasn't even Buddy Holly. I'm trying to remember who it was now. I don't think it was Mud, but Shakin' Stevens, like I say, he was doing it in the 70s, and then just before he became a pop star, he actually played Elvis in a stage show. And when you watch some of his 1980s performances, his early ones, before he became outright poppy, when he was still, doing stuff like This Old House and Marie Marie and Hot Dog, there's a definite element of Elvis, the early Elvis, like the denim. Elvis wore a denim jacket and jeans in his second film, Loving You, which was a colour film, his only colour film of the 1950s. And that was like quite a defining image. And that's Shakin' Stevens all over, really. And then Shakin' Stevens as well, like when he used to wear that pullover and be singing and be doing his little shaky dance. But that's like Elvis doing Baby, I Don't Care in Jailhouse Rock. Elvis had like a similar pullover on. So yeah, there's a definite influence there. But it wasn't just shaky. Everybody wanted to be Elvis, really. Certainly back in the late 50s and the 60s, on both sides of the pond. Over here we had Billy Fury, Cliff Richard wanting to be Elvis.
Yeah. That's what I was going to mention now about Cliff Richard. What do you think about Cliff Richard?
I love him. I absolutely adore Cliff Richard. Right. He's been going for nearly 70. He's had a career that's lasted as long as rock and roll has, nearly 70 years. He's done things along the way which I've not necessarily agreed with. I think he's exploited Christmas a little bit too much over the years for a so-called Christian. I'm not saying so-called Christian there and doubting his faith, but I just don't think that that's a very Christian thing to do. The whole thing about him being dodgy a few years ago, I never believed. I always believed he was an easy target. I think he's a genuine national treasure, Cliff Richard. I have a lot of time for him. I think he's and long may it continue. I really, really like him, and I love his early songs, of course, and I do quite a few of them in my show now. But he's evolved and he's kept going, and he's Cliff, isn't he? He's a national treasure. He's an institution.
When he did the Lord's Prayer, I know he's a Christian, but when he did the Lord's Prayer, the church turned on him because he did the Lord's Prayer. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think that they had the right to? Because really, in this sense, he was just kind of like sharing what he believes in.
It's weird, really, because it's almost. I don't think there was anything wrong with him doing that. And I've never doubted his sincerity as far as his his Christian beliefs go and all the rest of it. He's always sounded very sincere when he's spoken about it, and I personally don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do know that institutions such as the church do find things like that offensive. It's a little bit like when Elvis was doing his first gospel recordings and his first Christmas album in the 1950s. There was huge uproar about that. How can this dirty, pelvis shaking, swiveling, greasy haired, lip curling hick, how dare he touch things like "Oh Little Town of Bethlehem" or "Silent Night"? And there were DJs that were actually getting sacked in America for playing that because there were huge pressures from the church, from what I can imagine and from what I can gather. So no, I don't think he did anything wrong in doing that. What was there I do. I remember that he got blacklisted by the radio. The radio wouldn't play it, and even though it was a #1 at the time, wasn't it? It was like #1 leading up to the millennium. I know that the Radio 1 or Radio 2 refused to play it. I wasn't aware that there was such a huge backlash from the church. Did they feel he was commercializing?
Yeah,
the Lord's Prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, were.
I mean, like I say, I genuinely think that Cliff he went through a 5-year period where he always popped up at Christmas with mistletoe and wine or Saviour's Day or what have you, and then a Christmas album. And I always thought that was a little bit kind of commercialized. But having said that, there was an audience out there that wanted it because he had 2 Christmas #1s, didn't he? Around that time, Mistletoe and Wine, Saviour's Day, they were both #1 hits, and the public wanted it. It made money for somebody. Hopefully, Cliff got a few quid out of it. All power to him. But I just thought at the time that was a little bit at odds with somebody who was a Christian. Anyway. But no, to answer the question, I love Cliff Richard. I really do.
Yeah. Now let's back into let's talk about TV. Somebody who's off license, but I love this bloke, and that was Michael Barrymore. What did you ever think of Michael Barrymore?
I love him. He's a fantastic entertainer. He made one stupid mistake, and that was to run from the scene of the tragedy. I think his downfall was media created. I think it was homophobic. I don't think he's guilty of anything other than that one foolish act of running away. There's been numerous attempts to try and have him investigated and found guilty of some wrongdoing, which has never happened. I would love nothing more than to see Michael Barrymore back on television. Whenever he is on television these days, is normally talking about the career he lost, and he normally breaks down and cries, and it breaks my heart because the guy is absolutely broken, and I just think it's a terrible shame.
He was a legend, wasn't he?
He was. He was genuinely entertaining and funny. He was brilliant with the public, and how can I put this without sounding judgmental? I just think there's double standards in the media these days, because it annoys me that Michael Barrymore lost his career and lost everything and was demonized, and then you've got somebody like Ant McPartlin, who we all know what he did. He got absolutely loaded, got in the car, nearly killed somebody, and we all, as a nation, oh, poor Ant, he's going to go to rehab, he's going to get himself sorted out. And the way that he was, that whole thing was just brushed under the carpet, and he was welcomed back with open arms. I just think it says everything, really. And what he did was, in my opinion, a million times worse than what Michael Barrymore may have done. And I just think it's double standards, and it's disgusting.
Yeah,
but there we go. And I genuinely think it's because the whole thing with Michael Barrymore, it was portrayed as a sleazy gay party. And it's homophobic, and it's disgusting. But there we go.
There you go. How's your gigs? So what you've been up to with your gigs?
Well,
that year?
Yeah, I'm keeping quite busy. I did 3 gigs this weekend. Huddersfield on Friday night, Baildon, which is near Bradford, on Saturday night, and then I did a caravan park on the East Coast last night, which was quite a good gig as well. The only thing that's the downside to those holiday park gigs on the East Coast is it takes 2 hours to get there and it takes 2 hours to get back. You know, so on a Sunday night, that's not
what was that then?
Far Grange. Yeah, Far Grange is called.
Oh.
Far Grange holiday park.
Was it far?
Near Skip. I think it's Skipsea, where the holiday park is. It's either that or I don't think it's Hornsea. I'm doubting it now because I said something about Skipsea last night and there was a bit of a reaction from people. So, and I've not looked to see if I, I was saying, good evening to the right crowd. But yeah, it was that was very nice, very nice.
Was there a lot of people there?
The gigs going well. Yeah, a full room. Yeah, very, very. Yeah, they're good at holiday park gigs. I haven't done that many of them, but I quite enjoy them because people go there with the to the holiday park with the intention of embracing a good time, and so I think there's more goodwill in those sort of places.
I like going to holiday parks because some of the entertainment was shite, and I used to have an excuse to chuck things at people.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, there you go. Anyway, Marcus, thank you very much.
You're welcome, my friend. Anytime.
For your time, and I'm sorry for in the beginning. And so, where are you at this weekend? Where are you doing your gigs at this weekend?
I've only got one gig this weekend at the moment because originally I was going to be having the entire weekend off because it's Melanie's birthday next week, and a few months ago we were planning on perhaps going away for the week abroad, but that isn't happening. We're going away for a few days next week, so I'd kept the weekend free. I was offered some work on Saturday night, so I've taken that. So I'm going into holiday mode basically. So there we go.
Okay. Pub call is really nice time of the year for this.
I believe it is. I think it'll be lovely now that the festival's over. I'll be happy to go now. I'd gladly go now.
Yeah. You mentioned
and just
left.
Well, I'm going to say if I could get one of those litter pickers that you can get. They're like on a stick with a handle, and I could just walk around and pick up black, hairy things. Which are discarded.
You can always take it to Essex then and leave it at someone's front door.
I think they'd be very grateful, whoever it is you're talking about, because I genuinely don't know.
Right. There might be a blackout there, but there you go. Anyway,
you never know. All right. I'll see you later, Steve. See you next week. I'll be well. All right, bye.
Yeah. Bye.